Hello, good morning. This is Dan, and you're watching Medic Dan Vlogs. So you're joining me this morning on one of my daily commutes into work. It's the 3rd of November today, and we've got less than 8 weeks before Christmas is upon us. The weather's still holding up, still quite nice. I managed to get out yesterday on the Grom. I had a ride over to Squires in Sherburn and Helmet with a mate of mine on his monkey bike. Certainly turned a few heads due to the size of the bikes. Got over to Squires, parked up, and instantly his monkey bike attracted more than enough interest. I'll put a bit of a video on here of that as well. So much so that the ascending group of people that came along to have a look at his bike actually asked me to move my Grom out of the way so they could photograph his bike. Fair enough, I don't mind that. So this is hopefully going to be the first of many vlogs that I'm going to be bringing you guys. Some of you may or may not recognise me or know of me from our sister channel Bike Thing, which is part of the motorcycle web forum bikething.co.uk. Address is in the description below. As with all the points that I mention in this and any other of my vlogs, I will be linking all company information and contact points in the description. So I've had my Grom now for, I'd probably say, a month now. Bought it intentionally as a commuter vehicle. I do ride a Suzuki GSXR 600 K6 and it is absolutely immaculate. So one of the reasons for me buying the Grom, other than the fact that it's a massive amount of fun in a small bike, was that I didn't want to be knacking up the Gixxer over the winter riding it in all sorts of weather. Whereas the Grom, I'm going to be riding this through wind, rain, hail, sleet, you name it. I'll just cover the bad boy in ACF 50 and hope it holds up over the winter, keep it regularly maintained, etc. So far the only thing that I've done with the Grom to modify it from stock is I've fitted some braided brake lines from hell. They've made a huge difference to the braking of this bike. Not that I would criticise the stock braking system anyway, it was good, it was adequate, but as anybody who has put on braided hoses from or on another bike before will know, they do make a massive difference. So a massive shout out to Hell Performance for sending me some of their brake lines across. I am in the process of putting together a fitting video for doing that, for putting those onto your bike, specifically the Grom. I do actually have some Hell braided hoses for my Gixxer that I've had since I've had the bike, and I've had the bike 3 years now, and I never got around to fitting them. And I think part of that was because I've never done anything like that before, and also I think with your brakes they can be very unforgiving. If you make a mess of them, there can be a very dangerous point of, well, basically not stopping you, which we don't really want that. So I took a bit of a punt, went on the YouTube, on the internet, had a bit of a scout round to see how simple it was to fit brake lines, but more importantly bleeding them correctly, and it's not actually that complicated. So what I've done is I've taken what I've found from other YouTube channels and I've made as watered down as I can my own version of fitting the Hell Performance braided lines to the MSX 125 or the Grom. As I say, I've never done it before, so I would imagine there will be some kind of criticisms posted underneath that I've done this wrong or I've done that wrong, but at the end of the day I'm happy with them. They stop me when I need them. I didn't get any air bubbles in the system when I was bleeding them, and they work. So the only thing I can say to that is, for somebody that's never done it before and has worked off of other people's video instructions, I don't think I've done a bad job really. So much so that it's given me a lot more confidence for having a look at doing my jigsaw in the summer. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. In terms of aesthetics to the Grom, they have made a difference. They do look a lot nicer. Obviously the original brake lines on the Grom are quite thick and bulky, whereas the braided ones are like 2/3 of the size or half the size thickness. And I got the ones that were in the carbon. They do, Hell Performance do them in various colours, but because the Grom that I ride is yellow, I was trying to take a punt on getting some yellow ones, but unfortunately the yellow colour that Hell do are more of a Dayglow yellow rather than the Queen Bee yellow that my Grom is, which sadly has been discontinued now as a colour of bike. I don't know why, because it's quite a popular colour. Even though for some reason in America, from what I've picked up, you can only buy the black and the red Groms. Interesting. 2014 they've brought out the blue one, which I'm not keen on. It's a bit too dark for me. I possibly would have liked to have seen a more cyany type blue, more of a light colour. But then you can't appeal for everybody's tastes, can you? So we went over to Squires yesterday, me and my mate on the monkey bikes. It was a good old laugh riding over there on smaller bikes. The one thing that I will say about the... Hear my voice then? It sounded like my voice is just broken. The one thing I will say about riding the MSX in particular, I can't really comment on the monkey bike because I've never ridden it. It is what it is. It's a 125. It is a slow machine when you're used to riding other bikes. But the reason that I bought it, other than for commuting on, was it's opened up a totally different avenue of fun for me. It's a small bike with big attitude. As you will see if you do a bit of looking around on the internet of people that have modified theirs, there's no end of things that you can do with them. They appeal to me because I used to be into my Street Fighter motorbikes. I've had a couple of Bandits in the past where those are a similar type of bike. You're only held back on what you can do with them by your own imagination. They were a lot of fun. But the other thing as well is that the Grom, the aftermarket parts for the Grom, they are so plentiful. There's loads and loads and loads of aftermarket parts that you can bolt onto them. What I've been trying to do is source parts for them from the UK, because a lot of people, again from what I've picked up, have tended to be importing the parts from either Thailand or the US. For some reason in America these bikes have taken off a lot bigger than they have over here. Saying that, they only came out in the UK July 2013. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. And I think in that time there has been somewhere in the region of, again somebody correct me on this, about 450 sales in the UK of Groms. Somebody gave me the statistics the other day on how many had been sold in the UK, and then they also told me how many of those were on a sawn, which was interesting. I'm not sure how they were privy to that information. Who was it now? It was a guy, I'll tell you who it was. It was a guy from the PR company, the marketing company, who deals with, amongst others, Renthal. I was trying to speak to somebody there at the possibility of getting hold of some Renthal bars to put on the MSX, I know from being a Suzuki Bandit owner in the past, they were the handlebar of choice for aftermarket use, and for some reason the MSX, a lot of people tend to be using pro taper bars with mixed opinions. I've heard some people have claimed that they can cause issues for getting your key in and out of the ignition, etc. I personally would like to put some rentals on mine just to be different. I'm currently looking at putting what am I looking at putting on? An aftermarket exhaust, but I don't want to put the Tiger one that everyone puts on, or Tiger, however you pronounce it. So that'll be something for an up and coming vlog. Right, I'm going to leave you guys now because I'm nearly at work, so thanks for staying with me. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Ride safe.